Hi everyone, the case study that I'm going to talk about is the application of biometrics in issuing unique identification numbers or Aadhaar cards to Indian population. Let us first have a look at the background, as in why was it introduced Aadhaar in India. To start with, there has been an increase in number of poor people from 421 million in 1981 to 456 million in 2005 in India. And despite taking initiatives like the rich, poor still remain poor, which is mainly due to constraints like inadequate access to capital, inability to participate in markets, and lack of business skills. But why do they have inadequate access? Because more than half of Indian population does not have an identity proof. And because of people not having an acknowledged existence by the state, they're not being able to access things they're entitled to. Though one may argue that there are various forms of identity proofs, like a driving license or a passport, then the question is, will a poor person who earns less than $1.25 a day and barely afford one meal per day will be willing to pay for a driving license or a passport? So, rephrasing, the benefit of introduction of Aadhaar with the help of biometrics identification is increasing the participation of Indian residents, particularly poor and underprivileged, so that they are able to access social welfare programs and basic government benefits. Talking about the technology used, this project was envisaged to offer three key functions: enrollment, deduplication, and online authentication. The front end consists of enrollment stations deployed across the country where people enroll for an Aadhaar number. It involves the collection of demographic fields and the capture of biometrics, which include all the 10 fingerprints, 2 irises, and a photo of the face. This requires enrollment software, a fingerprint reader, an iris scanner, a webcam, and a laser printer. This information is securely encrypted and sent to the Central Information Data Repository. The backend operations are then carried out at the repository where the packet is checked and validated for correctness and then deduplicated against the existing enrollment database. Only when the new enrollment record is found to be unique is an Aadhaar number granted to that particular resident. When a person wants to seek a service, the service provider connects with the authentication user agency that establishes a secure leased line to the repository at UIDAI. The repository verifies the submitted Aadhaar data with the data stored on the repository and responds with a simple yes/no to indicate a match/no match response. The Aadhaar number is to be used along with the demographic attributes like the name, address, or date of birth of the resident, or with the one-time generated PIN password, or with biometric data like fingerprint and/or iris scan. In the context of social value being provided by this scheme, the primary use of Aadhaar number to Indian residents is to avail the government transaction benefit schemes like getting a job, receiving government subsidies, opening a bank account, or even obtaining a phone connection. It was created with an objective to issue unique identification numbers that is, first of all, robust enough to eliminate duplicate and fake identities, and secondly, can be verified and authenticated in an easy, cost effective way. The project is trying to fill institutional voids in India as a result of weak and corrupt government structures, which is often the case of developing economies, by enhancing credibility through identity authentication and facilitating market based transactions. Additionally, it also eliminates identity silos that have come into existence with increased cost of identification. Moving on to the type of innovation, as this project aimed at including and empowering disenfranchised and undocumented Indian population, so this innovation type is called as inclusive innovation. Let's give a formal definition of it. Inclusive innovation is any innovation that leads to affordable access of quality goods and services, creating livelihood opportunities for the excluded population, primarily at the base of the pyramid, and on a long-term sustainable basis with significant outreach. The participation of poor in the markets can be in the form of ownership, managerial control, employment, consumption, or involvement in supply chain activities. According to me, this should be an example of entrepreneurial innovation because the Indian government has tried to implement national identity schemes before but has never managed to reach much more than a fraction of the population. So, when the Parliament set up the Unique Identification Authority of India in 2009 to try again with a biometrically based system, it borrowed a trick used by corporations all over the world. Go to an outsourcer. The government tapped billionaire Nandan Nilekani, who is a CEO turned public service worker, engaged on government commissions to improve welfare services and e-governance. Apart from collecting data of over 1 billion Indian people, Aadhaar platform is now integrated into the financial systems of NPCI and banks, taking India towards the goal of total financial inclusion. Currently, Aadhaar is being used in the Guinness World Record holder scheme Jan Dhan Yojana for opening a bank account. Aadhaar-based direct benefit transfer of LPG subsidy amount in the bank account, getting passport easier and quicker. Digital Locker, which is a cloud server for Aadhaar holders to store their personal documents. Voter card linking to eliminate bogus voters and receiving monthly pension and provident fund. As a proof of address by Securities and Exchange Board of India. Aadhaar has also addressed the challenge of dealing with the issue of illegal migrants. It has facilitated the provision of e-commerce and m-commerce services to residents of India residing even in remote locations. Aadhaar is based on an open API platform and the cloud-based authentication that enables organizations like banks, insurance companies, telecom companies, hospitals, educational institutions, government organizations, and non-government organizations to offer numerous kinds of services to the billion people in India. Despite having set its root among Indians, Aadhaar is also facing some data privacy risks and still needs to be mandated. On the other hand, there are innovative ideas being built around the more effective usage of Aadhaar. It will be interesting to see if Aadhaar manages to sustain in the future. Thanks for watching.